Hi, Dysthymic Dad here. If you like this channel and find it useful, please subscribe. If you don't like this channel, please subscribe. I'm going to do this video on an aspect of narcissism that a few people have noticed. I think it's actually very prevalent, but it's one of those items where I don't think people talk about it that often or that much for whatever reason. And it has to do with kind of the other side of the narcissist boredom. I think that I've done a video in the past on narcissism as addiction and narcissism as just an overwhelming boredom that they're not able to escape from. And the other half of that, and this is what this video is going to be about, is that within the relationship, once you come out of it, you'll realize that you did all the work, and that may go back even before the love bombing started. It might go back to when you first met and started setting up dates. That the work was on your shoulders, but at that time the narcissist was putting forth the effort to keep things moving forward. And so one of the things that I noticed, especially with my ex-girlfriend, the covert narcissist, is that this started very early, and the way that she manipulated me and sold the idea was by convincing me that it was this masculine, feminine energy, blah, blah, blah. And so at that point, very early on, and again, during the love bombing phase, I took the responsibility of making all the plans, setting all the dates. If we were going to go camping, I'd make the reservations. Go to a restaurant, I'd make the reservations. Go to a concert, I'd buy the tickets. And initially her energy was there up until the love bombing stopped. And then at that point it tapered off, but there was still about 2 years where the relationship was still fun and fulfilling. I mean, she was still showing up enough and putting enough energy into the relationship that it continued to work. The last year of the relationship, it reached a tipping point where I was doing all the work and she was not putting that energy into things, even though I was taking care of all the details. And one of the things that, in some of our, arguments towards the, end of the relationship, I pointed out how, sometimes I did not feel like a boyfriend. I felt like an entertainment director. And that my job in much of the relationship was not to be this boyfriend, this partner that co-created this relationship, but basically just this guy who was in her life that got concert tickets before they were sold out, and made reservations to go camping, and got tickets to go to the movies, and organized outings to the mountains and stuff. But that was it. Like, I wasn't getting anything back. I was no longer feeling like a boyfriend. I was simply an entertainment director. And again, with that boredom that seems to grow as time goes on within a narcissist. By the last year, basically all the things that we had made as like the core of our relationship that were, at the time initially very fun and fulfilling for both of us, like, going to the movies, going clubbing, going to the mountains, these type of things just she grew more and more bored with them till by the end of the last year of the 4-year relationship, she never wanted to go out. She never wanted to go dancing anymore. Never wanted to go to quirky bars and hang out with friends. Never really wanted to go see movies like she used to. Never really wanted to go up in the mountains and just, find quirky towns and stuff. And again, it was stark and kind of a drastic change. At least for me, there was like just a tipping point where the energy that she was putting forth was enough to keep things moving forward. And then it reached a point where the energy dropped off, and I was doing 100% of the work. And even then, she would just kind of not show any interest in things. And like I told my friends, it was very, it was a 3 years. It was a 3-year relationship that lasted 4 years. The last year of that relationship, I continued to go out. I went to the clubs, went to the bars with my friends, went and saw movies, and went to concerts and stuff. And the whole time I just felt weird because I'm like, well, wait a minute. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is the new normal where I'm supposedly in a relationship and I supposedly have a girlfriend, but I'm always going to concerts by myself. I'm always going to the movies by myself. It was these things that pushed me farther and farther to the point where I, basically, had the conversation that ended the relationship at the end of 2022. But back to my point there is just that it's an aspect of narcissism that I never hear anyone talk about. Like occasionally people will talk about the narcissistic boredom, and it's like, okay, that's good to know. But no one ever talks about the flip side of that, where the narcissist gets into a relationship, love bombs, love bombs, love bombs. And then once, the relationship switches, they're just like this dead weight, there's just this rock, and they're just like, entertain me, entertain me, entertain me. And for a while, it seems, at least in my experience, it seems like that can work if you do the job and entertain them. But sooner or later, even the things that you find to do to entertain them, they might really enjoy initially, but after a while, they're going to get bored with them. And, I mean, like really extremely. I mean, I could see a situation where, someone's doing like skydiving or doing that type of was it bushcraft camping where you have like a knife and you just go in the forest and build a lean-to and stuff and build a fire yourself. Something like where you're kind of living on the edge there. Where for most people, that would just be really engaging, and you'd need, 110% of your attention and focus and energy. And I think for the narcissist, they would feel that way the first couple of times, and then as time went on, they would just be like, oh, skydiving again, boring. Oh, I'm going on, the world's craziest roller coaster. The first time it's great, after a while, boring. And just basically, I think that's the pattern, but I also think it's with, that person. I think that more, even more than the activity per se, it's the fact that they are bored with their partner, that they, thought or convinced themselves that their partner was going to be perfect and solve all their problems. And that's what they projected during the love bombing phase. And then once they realized, oh, wait a minute, this is a real human being, they're not my ideal, manifested on planet Earth. Oh, how disappointing. And that realization drives the boredom through the rest of the relationship. And that, at some point, the narcissist will be bored with their partner, and they might not want to go to the movies with them because, in that respect, they're like, oh no, I don't find going to the movies fun anymore. But if they find a new supply, hey, yeah, going to the movies sounds great. That would be a blast. And they would go to the movies with their new supply and have the time of their life, and have an absolute blast, the same way that you did at the beginning of the relationship. So, I don't know if there's anything really to do practically, with this realization or, perspective. But I think it's another way to gain insight into narcissism and kind of get, a little bit, just peeking behind the curtain a little bit more to understand what's going on in the mind of the narcissist and why they do some of the, honestly, self-sabotaging, self-defeating things that they do, which for me, I'm like obsessed with now. I'm one of those people where it's like, I need to solve a puzzle. And so, I'm going to be continuing to, read and try to learn as much as I can as time goes on, just because, I just want to know why. So, and I'm sure there's plenty of you, out there watching this that feel the same way. So hopefully this has been helpful. Thanks.